In this episode of Unvarnished, we talk with Jim Benedict from On Point Branding and Marketing Solutions. Jim talks about marketing and innovation as a differentiator in the print space. Most notably, Jim also discusses the company's rebranding effort that they undertook over the last year. It included a name change and an overhaul in their visual branding and overall positioning. So sit back and enjoy the latest episode of Unvarnished, powered by D-Scoop. Aaron, I don't know if you wanted to start anywhere special, but
Yeah, sure. I think a natural spot, Jen, would be let's talk about the past few months and your rebranding. It seems like companies in our space have tried to be more than just known as printers for a while, and to varying degrees of success. Can you take us through the high notes of why you decided that now was a good time to rebrand and
Yeah, absolutely, Darren. Thank you for asking. Um, we just celebrated our 37th year. Again, we're a privately owned, privately held company here. We evolved as a high-end commercial printing operation, and we purchased our agency over 8.5 years ago here now, based on a lot of input and requests from our customers looking to shorten their vendor pool. And it isn't just a freelance designer sitting in a cubicle somewhere. I mean, we have a full-blown agency staff, from insight to the creative, to our illustrators, to our writers, to our social team. So we've got a total of 18 people on staff for that. But with that, when we acquired Next, they had established their brand. Obviously, GLS had established our brand. We kind of threw the two together of GLS Next Precision Marketing. But when we would go to a meeting, it was a little bit confusing because our brands started to separate a little bit too much, that we'd lay our cards on the table and you got this GLS look and then you got this Next look, and people would be like, who's who owns who, that type of scenario. So over the last year, we actually stepped back and evaluated. We always we're considering either the rebrand and or a potential name change to pull all this together. And we actually took advantage of COVID or the pandemic we're a very visible company. We have a lot of our clients that come here for tours or our seminars, our press checks, all those types of things, that we were able to pretty much pull this off behind the scenes without anybody knowing. Again, it was a great undertaking when this decision was made a year ago. We did a ton of competitive insight. We did some Q&A with some select customers of ours. And again, mainly looking at the competitive set of our lateral competition in the print market space. We threw it all on a board and looked at their brand, their identity, put ours on there. We've had different mantras, different taglines over the year. So again, a lot of strategy and insight went into this before we just flat out said, "Hey, this is who we're going to be," and et cetera, et cetera. So we've come a long way over this last year. Monday was the launch, and so far, knock on wood, everything has pretty much gone off without a hitch. It's not as simple as just rebranding. When you fully change your name, it goes all the way from accounts receivable, accounts payable. There's I mean, we've got 342 different forms that had to change and flip of a switch almost overnight, of, not just business cards, but so many either external facing documents or electronic facing documents. Again, I commend our team on being able to pull this off.
how do you work as a team when you want to propose new ideas? I'm really curious how you figured out how to fold creatives and production people and product people together in the same room.
Well, it depends on obviously, we do a deeper dive before the actual engagement, who from our team we would like to pull into the meeting. It could be just a discovery call, where it could be one of our e-commerce sites. So I'd pull in obviously IT, because then comes all kinds of security protocols within some of these major corporations. It could be a full out a rebrand. So again, then obviously we would pull in the creative team to see, or a project manager to start to understand the assets that they had in existence, and you kind of create a roadmap through this whole discovery process. So we do have what I'll call our account executives more tailored to the print side, but then we also have actual sales people for the agency side. So again, wherever the opportunity lies, if it's from our sales team, then the salesperson takes the lead because they've created the engagement, and then we start to pull in the different people throughout the journey or the process as we look to go through the discovery call.
I've always sensed there's a sort of a great irony in the print industry, and I wanted to get your take on this. And that irony is companies every day work really, really hard to create beautiful, thoughtful, effective marketing pieces for their clients. You guys do in droves. You could go to your website, your new website right now, and see excellent examples of projects that you've done for clients. But I find that, and I think self-admittedly, many printers fail to do that for themselves. They're working every day. You can open any door in a print shop and see people slaving away really well on client-facing stuff, and then have no new brochure for 6 years or no new website that's mobile friendly, etc. I was wondering about your take on that. Can you comment on that? Do you sense the same thing? Does printing have a branding problem?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For anybody who knows me, I'm the biggest advocate for self-promotion. Anything we put out, I have to make sure it's either fun, unique, dynamic, utilizing tricks or effects, or in direct mail, get it opened. But the best part of that, and I know this for a fact, I have to sometimes deal with our CFO saying, wow, Jim, you spent quite a bit of money on this particular project or campaign. But I always show them the back end of, look at all these projects we got because of it. Or look at this new engagement that we've tried with this prospect, and it took just that one engagement, and they're calling us now. So that is a big thing. Another thing, and again, a lot of this is just my opinion, a lot of printers either, they grew to be known as a financial printer, or they've been known for doing books or catalogs or whichever. My advice is challenge the equipment you have. Just because you bought that equipment to serve a particular need or function, I'm down on the floor, understanding how it sucks and feeds, and if I do this, how can this do this, and can I scale it, all those types of things. So again, going back and just evaluating what you have, and really talk to those people who are running the piece of equipment. They can either make something different or make it do something different that, a salesperson just says, nope, this is what the client asked for, quote it this way, boom, you put the quote out, okay, you got the job, boom, 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 on to the next project. You're not really doing what I would call a value-added service to the client. So again, we'll get into it later on my thought leadership videos. They do work. I know it hands down. And again, it's basically educating the sales team to be thought leaders, and again, getting back out there, but also promoting yourself. And it isn't about your equipment list. They don't care how fast the press runs, or it can do a piece of paper this big, or we can do die cutting or whichever. They honestly don't care. Those samples speak volumes. And again, the more you can come alongside on the front end of the creative and help do those extra steps will really benefit everybody in the end, in my opinion.
You're sort of called the mad scientist in-house.
Yes, I am.
From what you just said, it's almost like the role of, if you were going to look at it from a corporate side, like research and development. How did you get that mindset accepted internally to be sort of like, an idea generator in-house?
I have again, this mad scientist thing. It's kind of a funny story. So again, I've been here, 24 years now, or coming on 24 years. So when I would walk down on the press room floor, everybody would roll their eyes. Oh crap, here comes Jim again. Now it's totally different. It's here comes Jim again. What's he up to? What are we up to? So I've helped to attract and engage to get the excitement that this isn't about me, just pushing the envelope constantly. Because no is not in my vocabulary. I will tell you that much. But again, I've gained the respect of these people, which is one big thing. It's huge to have them share their knowledge and insight with me to help be innovative. I'm constantly keeping my eyes open on, new substrates, new ideas, new tricks, new techniques. Some of the new fun ones electronically, how you can do a scratch off on your phone or whichever, so it isn't always back to print. I mean, there's just the world has changed when it comes to communication, how we know it and where it's going. It's absolutely fascinating, especially for me. Again, that's the stuff that gets me out of bed every day, and again, the opportunity, out of our 18 salespeople, to see all the different things that are flowing through our facility here. We share ideas. We do what I would call lunch and learns along with our salespeople. Here's a project I had. Here's some things we learned. Here's some things to look out for.
I'm going to circle back around again about the having the creatives on staff. You have a long enough history now, having the Next on board for 8 years. When you added an agency, were you afraid it was going to cannibalize or detract other agencies, outside agencies, from actually doing business with you?
That's a great question, Chris. Yes, we definitely had to keep that in mind. Obviously, we have some huge creative agencies, PR firms, et cetera, here in our market that we deal with daily, obviously, to execute their huge projects and programs for their major brands. So we delicately entered into it, understanding what we were doing. Was there a risk? Absolutely. We kept that in the back of our head. But it's actually worked out. Even with some of the major ones that we deal with, it's not like we're going after their major brands. I'd say we're kind of more the mid-level, low-lying fruit, so to speak, that they either don't know how to engage a large agency or they don't have the budgets or staff to even interact and work with an agency. But on that, though, a lot of the agencies also contract work out. So we've actually, or they set the tone and the design for the catalog, and we step in and do the production work, following the brand standards that they created for the rollout. So, and again, with a lot of people working remote, they obviously had to skinny out their staffs. So again, it's really come out to be a great two-way street for us. But we always still do keep that in the back of our mind. So that is an awesome question.
So I'm assuming, though, in a lot of ways, you become an
extension.
Yeah, an extension, and they could have somebody else that talks the same language and can do the almost the improv. Like you could enhance some of the ideas that are coming out of the agencies, saying yes, and we could do this, because I would think that your creatives have a more intimate knowledge of what can and can't be done, because they have you, the crazy scientist that's working alongside them.
We've really been able to attract some top talent. They're like kids in a candy store when they come here, because they were always on the creative side, not understanding all the nuts and bolts that can take place or what is open to them now that they never knew they had the opportunity to play with or understand. Their head explodes.
That is interesting. I think you're up against a lot of competitors who are trying desperately to find new talent. And if printing leads the day, that's who's graduating from RIT this year, versus I think maybe your larger pool of creatives and communication, young energy. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about where you're finding the people who are doing this? I think you have a great phrase on your website called brand activation. Where do you find these folks?
So a lot of our veterans. Most of the tenure of our employees is 25 years plus, which is crazy. But a lot of that talent pool historically over the past has come from those technical college or whatever, but all specifically related to the graphic arts industry, which is fine. Again, they're true veterans of this craft that we're in. But now, again, the new up and comings, we will either pull them in on an internship program and see where this individual may or may not go, as well as, like I said, there's a lot of people that were let go from major corporations that, when we push out through social or whichever, our name is very well known in our marketplace. So again, when we put out for a particular posting, regardless of what the position is, we do attract, I would say, a great deal of talent.
So you are a YouTube rock star.
Hello, designers, creatives, and brand managers. Jim Benedict here. Welcome to our digital studio.
Why did you decide to start that?
Yeah, through, when this whole pandemic started, I'm a very visual, face-to-face type person. I have this little collapsible wagon that if I had to bring, a wagon full of samples to go to a meeting, I definitely did. So I actually found this to be an opportunity that, instead of me either tagging along with a particular salesperson to do show and tell, I found it best to just, I played around, did the first one. I thought, okay, I'll go to this other topic or I'll go to this other topic. And I have a blast doing it. I don't have a script. If I flub up or say something silly, I'd rather be human and humble. But I believe people have noticed that I have true passion for this business that we're all in, which I absolutely do. It's the stuff that gets me out of bed. But yeah, I've had a blast with it. I don't know how many I have out there, 9, 10 of them. And at first our salespeople were a little reluctant, saying, well, it's Jim, Jim, Jim. And I'm like, wait, guys, now this is us. This is us, us, us. This is not Jim, Jim, Jim. So we've got them to start utilizing it in a different fashion on engaging their prospect pool or their particular customers. But it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I will continue to do them. And I think over time we've gotten better and better. I have no problem talking to anybody, again, about the business that I'm in. And like I said, I think the passion shows through, but I actually have a hoot doing it. And again, they call me One Take Jim because I can literally just say, turn it on and let's go. And I do my stuff and turn it off and let's post it next week,
I have a little notebook that I keep on the side right next to my bed. And sometimes I'll wake up and I'll just jot down an idea that I have. And it's blank a lot, but when it's filled up, it's usually pretty interesting. And it got me thinking, like, how do you decide what to shoot a video on? There's literally probably hundreds of thousands of topics you could pick. Is it something that you have an opinion on and you just decide, all right, let's roll it? Is it more planned out than that? Do you have, in effect, an editorial calendar? How do you decide what to say before you speak into the camera for these videos?
Well, going forward, we've always had what I would call a marketing calendar, but now going forward, we definitely do have an editorial calendar. But before, I just say, hey, I want to shoot Tuesday, and here's my topic, and this is what I'm going to go for. Like I said, I kind of just look around the facility and say, okay, this is something that has a nugget to a brand person, or this has some nuggets to a creative individual. So one other thing I was telling Chris, bless our heart, our agency team, They didn't just pick a Pantone color out of a ink book. Of course, they had to dream up, so we have coral and we have ocean. So we have chased from, powder coat painting on building signage to flexo printing to embroidering of threads to digital printing, conventional printing, silk screening, pad printing. I mean, I've got branded masks and lanyards, and I did branded candy bars. I mean, so I've been all over the board on this journey. It's been a lot of fun, but again, bless the agency's heart that again we had some very specific color matching that we needed to tackle through this whole process.
So when you go to bed, do you see coral and ocean in your sleep?
Yes, you have to think differently right now. And again, I think we're on the right track, and I couldn't tell you what our next junket or endeavor is going to be. I mean, who knows? We've looked at large format several years ago. Large format obviously takes up a great deal of space. What is the revenue channel for it? Obviously, the spirits industry is going crazy, or the CBD market, a lot of flexible label, all of that type of stuff. And then the personalized packaging, that's really the one that I've got my eye on in conjunction with the label side of it. So again, it's hard to say where we're going to end up, but again, it's wherever our customers take us down this path, and we're ready for the journey.
I keep beating the same drum, but it's almost like a lack of complacency and continually learning. It seems to be a thread throughout this entire conversation from your answers, is that you're not resting on what you've always done. That there's this willingness to, as long as the customer needs something, we'll figure out a way to help with that. And I just wonder about that mentality in this market, whether or not everybody's willing to go there.
Well, that's it. Back to, I can dance with my pom-poms and cheer the hell all I want, but if I don't have engagement from the top leadership, then I'm basically banging my head against the wall. So that's also critical. Last year at the start of COVID, and again, just said, hey, okay, it's time to go on the next venture, the next journey, and we all just jumped on board, and here we are today with the launch of OnPoint.
Congratulations, Jim. Not just to you, but to everyone behind the scenes at your company that made it happen. I know it takes an enormous effort from a lot of people who sometimes don't get the credit, when that name shifts or when the URL is new. But there are many people I'm sure there who deserve to share in that. So congratulations to your entire team.
Yeah, I would love to rattle off some specific ones, but again, I have to keep the whole group in mind. But again, there was some that just rock stars, and again, I'm proud to stand and work with them.
Well, thank you, Jim, for all your time today.
Definitely look for some new videos coming up here.
And one from us too. This was a fun one.
Alrighty, thank you, gentlemen. Darren, Chris, nice seeing you. Look forward to a time that we can see each other in person too.